have people joining us from across the world. I know we have someone joining us from the UK, someone joining us from Spain. We have people joining from Lagos, Nigeria. We have someone joining from Port Harcourt. We have someone joining from Ekiti. I think I heard someone from Ekiti. We have someone joining from Ife. Amazing. It's just very interesting to see different people joining from different parts of the world, and I'm very excited about today. And as I mentioned initially, one thing that I'm really looking forward to achieve today is to share 100% what helped me this year, and also help share tips that help me with dealing with procrastination. Because of course, you can't like achieve your goals while sleeping with procrastination, right? You have to let one go. Yeah, so I will just share tips that help me with that. Thank you, Grace. Tips that help me with that, and as well as answer questions. So I plan between now and 8:30 that I'm going to be done with this session, right? But I'm giving it. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so I'm giving it up to 9, but I plan to share between now and 8 p.m. or now and 7:45. I think that's my slot. And then from 7:45 till around 8 p.m. for the next 45 minutes, I plan to answer questions. I actually plan to take questions for 45 minutes because we have more than almost 300 people registered, right? And we have a lot of questions that I would really want to answer. The questions are very interesting. And I know that even after today's session, they will. Okay, and you're like, keep muting my mic. Okay, so all right, so I know that after the session, there'll still be further clarifications or questions, and I will be available to answer these questions. So it's going to be like an interactive session. So please engage in the chats, let me hear your thoughts. If I share something that hits you, yes, and please share the YouTube link in the chat. So if I share something that really resonates with you, let us know in the chat. If you have like thoughts on something that is shared, please you can mention in the chat. Just ensure that you are enjoying and you're here, right? It is an interactive session. So as much as you are here to learn from me, basically, I would also be happy to hear from you as well in the chat. So let's make this session engaging. So I'm going to get started right now. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Aramide. For those that don't know me, I run a nonprofit for children who are out of school. So I have a free school in Otta, Nigeria, and we provide 12 years of free education to children in under-resourced communities. And the major reason why I started this school was because number one, we have more than 20 million children who are not in school in Nigeria, but I am just tired of how education is done in Nigeria. I feel like there is a lot of lecture-based education, and we don't see education that is practical. So at the school, we are raising these children as leaders to solve problems, and our teaching methodologies are very practical and interactive. And that's a bit of what I do. Every Saturday, I really, really try my best to send newsletters to my community members, of which I think everybody here should be a part of my community, because this session is actually dedicated to just my community members at the beginning of the year. And even next year, I really, really want to do a lot of supporting for people who are trying to achieve their goals, and even like social impact, people who are trying to solve problems but don't know how to go about it. And I know that in the questions that were asked, we had a lot of responses or from people who work in social impact space, some people who work in education space, but also from like young and ambitious people, especially women, amazingly, who are very, very keen and who are very, very interested in, growing, and who are very, very interested in becoming better versions of themselves. So I really hope that with this session, I'm able to help you make 2024 a better year for you. And I hope we have all grabbed our pens, our notepads, and we're in quiet spaces, plugged in, ready to learn. So I'm just going to share my screen. I believe that everybody can hear me, but if at some point you can't hear me, please put it in the chat box and I would readjust my network. Also, during the session, you might find me tapping my nose with a a napkin. I caught a flu yesterday, so I'm just carrying myself small, small. Yeah, so if you find me just tapping my nose, okay. Eniola will help you out. Okay, so if you find me just tapping my nose, please just understand that that's why. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen and we can get started ASAP. Please just give me a bit of time to do so. Um, okay, please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just give me a bit of time. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Amazing. Good evening, everyone. So we're going to get started right now. Okay. All right. So I'm happy that everyone can see my screen. I can't clearly see the chat, but as much as possible, I'll find time to, in between the session, to check on the chat, right? Just to make sure that um, everyone is able to see my screen and everyone is still very much connected. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to go by a few housekeeping rules just to make sure that our session is as productive as possible. Please confirm to me if you can still see my screen.
No, we can't.
Oh, okay. It's just give me a bit. Okay. Just here. Just hold on a bit. So I'm trying to adjust something so that. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. And you can see slides on my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So if you are skipping rules, right, please ensure you mute your mic so that you don't interrupt the session. Then ask questions. I mean, you can ask questions in the chat. So if you have any questions that you like to ask, you can go ahead to ask in the chat, and we are very happy to answer your questions at the end of the session today. Engage in the chat. Of course, I mentioned that. Make sure you share your thoughts, feel free to contribute to the conversation. Share a light bulb moment. So if I say something that makes a lot of sense to you, you are free to share that and share your excitement in the chat. And please, as people share their connections and words that make sense to them, please respect other people's experiences. All right, so we're going to get started right now. Before we get started, after this housekeeping rule, let me know if you are ready in the chat. So I want to see it in the chat if you are ready. If you're ready, just say ready, ready, ready. Okay. Ready. Wow, amazing. So let's say ready, 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 ready in the chat. I want to know that you're present here and you're not here and cooking beans at the same time, right? You have to be present. So say ready, 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 ready if you're ready. Okay, amazing. I can see the chat. Everybody's ready. Okay, so we're going to get started right now. So I'll share a few things to note about goal setting just before I start. So I think that as regards to goal setting, a lot of people get a lot of things wrongly about goal setting. And it's not because they are not excited about it or because they are not excited to achieve their goals or anything, but majorly because they are, they just have the wrong orientation about goal setting. So the first thing I would like to say or highlight about goal setting is the importance of setting smart goals, right? And the first thing is that I'm sure of course, we all know what smart goals are. It's not something that is new to anybody here. We've all heard about it in one session that we've attended or the other. We've once heard about setting smart goals and how your goal has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, it has to be relevant or realistic, and then it has to be time bound. But I feel like in the setting of goals, a lot of people don't have smart goals. And because their goals are not smart, they are not able to even achieve it in the first place. And I'll put this in context in reality for every one of us. So when we're all registering for this session, right, we asked you what are your goals, what are your primary goals for 2023? And we had people saying things like, I want to get my master's. We have people saying, I want to build the business. We have people saying, I want to build my non-profit. We have people saying, I want to get married. We have people saying, I want to move to a new apartment. But then I feel like for most of the goals that were submitted as primary goals, they were not smart enough. And by smart goals, I mean, number one, your goal has to be specific, right? Specific in the sense that you need to decide what you want. And you need to decide exactly what you want. In terms of specificity, you need to decide this is what I want to achieve at this time. And then secondly, your goal has to be measurable. Measurable in the sense that if you're moving closer to your goal, how would you know? Right. So if you say, I want to get married, right, it doesn't, or if you say something like, I want to lose weight, right, it doesn't show how you're going to measure if you're making progress or not, right? And of course, I'm going to share an example of how you can set a smart goal, an example of smart goals that you can use to clearly define your goal for 2024. But you can't just say, I want to get married, or I want to lose weight, or I want to get a master's degree, right? How would you know if you're moving closer to the goal, right? Third thing is your goal has to be achievable. Achievable in the sense that it has to be realistic, like it has to be something that you can do. It has to be something that it makes sense for you to achieve it, basically. So, for example, someone who has never engage in any weight loss exercise, I've never been to the gym before, has never done anything weight loss, is saying that I want to lose unachievable. And it's not because you cannot become that kind of person or you cannot lose that, but because you don't have like a momentum that you built over time, and because you don't have that momentum that you built. Okay. And because you don't have that momentum that you built over time, it would be completely very difficult for you to actually achieve that goal because you don't have that momentum. So your goal has to be achievable. Is it something that you can do? Right? Are you able to do it in terms of your skill set, in terms of the resources that are available to you, in terms of all the relationships that you have, you probably might want to leverage? Is this something that you can actually achieve? Then relevance, right? Your goal has to be relevant. And I think of relevance in terms of why, right? What's your strong why? Why do you want to achieve this goal? How is this goal relevant to your life? Why do you want to get a master's degree? Why do you want to lose 100 kg in that sense, right? Why do you want to get married? How is this goal relevant to your life? And then finally, your goal has to be time bound. When do you want to do it? When? And, I read a quote one time that says that a goal that doesn't have a timeline to it is just a wish. It's just a wish. So if you have goals that are set and you don't put a timeline to it, then you're just wishing that, okay, this thing will happen. Maybe it will happen one day, or you have not tied action to it. And I'll just share an example of how you can set a SMART goal. So a SMART goal, for example, can be, I want to lose 10 kg by December 2024. So when you're deciding on a SMART goal, it has to has four components. So the first is what do you want, right? That's being specific. Then when do you want it? That's timeline, right? And then why, how do you want to achieve it, right? How do you want to go about achieving it, right? And that's in terms of it being measurable and achievable for you, right? And so, for example, I'll give an example. I want to lose 10 kg by December 2024 by cutting down soda and eating healthy food and going to the gym twice a week. That is a very smart goal. And it's smart because number one, it's specific. You're losing 10 kg, right? So by December 2024, and even before December 2024, you can tell if you are well on the way to actually achieving that goal of losing 10 kg, right? Then you're cutting down soda, right? You're saying that, okay, by December 2024, sorry. So that's a timeline. You have put it within this timeline that, okay, by December 2024, I would have lost 10 kg. And then you're saying that this is how I'm going to do it. So that way, by putting how you're going to do it, you're ensuring that it is realistic for you because there is a how as to how to go about it. And then you're also ensuring that it is achievable because you can clearly see a pathway with which you can achieve the goal. And then, of course, the final thing is time bound, and I've mentioned it by having a date assigned to it. So if you're saying that I want to lose 10 kg by December 2024 by cutting out soda and eating healthy food and going to the gym twice in a week, then you practically have a roadmap that you can work with. If you're saying that I want to get a master's degree or I want to enroll in my master's program by October 2024, how would your goal has to clearly state how, when, and what do you have to do to get it. So I'm going to enroll into a master's program by August 2024 by applying to 5 different schools and scholarship programs by this period of time. And so having a timeline attached to it is very, very important, right? And of course, it might not be as straightforward as a sentence as losing 10 kg, depending on how big or audacious your goal is, right? And I'll just give an example. So at Talent Mind, I'll just give a clear example, which maybe everyone here might know. So I mentioned initially that we run a free school, right? And we started the school in May last year. As at October in 2022, I knew that we had to launch a school. The plan was actually to launch the school by September 2023. So we would have just been starting the process of launching the school by September 2023. But then we knew that if we had waited to September 2023, of course, we would have lost time, time would have gone. And the children we were trying to transition into our own school, they were at risk. So we had to transition them as quick as possible. And so at that point, and this points to realistic, right? At that point, I started to think about what's the most realistic and fastest timeline that I can achieve this goal of transition. So at the time in October, I knew that, okay, we wanted to start a school, and there were some things that we had to put in place for this school to start. There were some people I had to speak to know how best to go about it. I had to speak with government to register the school and everything, right? So I had a long list of things I wanted to do. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning that sometimes your goal might not be as straightforward as my goal is to lose 10 kg by December 2024 by cutting down soda, eating healthy food, and going to the gym twice a week, right? Sometimes it might not be as straightforward as that. But for a goal as trying to build something, right, it is very important that you have a timeline. And of course, the fact that you're trying to build something obviously makes it measurable in the sense that you know that, okay, between this period and this period, between the period when I started setting the goal or when I set the goal and this timeline that I've given myself, I'm able to measure my progress, or I'm able to know if I'm doing well, basically, by the end of that timeline. And so at the time when I knew that we're going to start the school, a goal that set, it was already specific, right? Launch a free school for children in low-income communities. They're measurable. So in terms of measurable, to have something that is measurable, you have to have a list of tasks, a list of things that you have to do. So what I did was that I created a separate document, right? And I shared this document with my team members, right? So in this document, I had a list of to-dos that I had to do. So first thing I had to do was I had to speak to 10 school owners in Africa. So I looked for the best top schools in Africa, and I had a sit-down lunch or coffee session with some of the top school owners, 10 of them across Africa. And from the conversation that I had with them, I knew how best I was able to go about it. And it even brought a lot of speed to me. And I always tell people, so I do a mentorship program every year for young women. And I always tell the young women that I mentor that if you're starting something, a hunter, I always say it's very funny, right? The hunter should not go to the forest without, okay, the young boy should not go to the forest without the hunter. And that's because the hunter already knows where wild animals will be, where wild animals would not be, where there's actually road, where there's no road, where you can find water if you're thirsty and stuff like that. And so if you're starting something, if you're building something, maybe you're building an organization or you're trying to do something, even if it's just applying for a master's or trying to get married, it is very important to look for the hunter, in quotes, in that thing you're trying to do. And the hunter is someone who has done what you're trying to do or done what you're trying to build. And so you look for this person, you have conversations with them, take them to lunch if you want, have coffee sessions with them, send them emails, like keep buzzing them until you actually get a response, right? So that's by the way, right? So I had that list of, okay, these are the people that I was going to reach out to have conversations with, to know how best to go about it. And I remember a particular time I spoke to, me, I was thinking that, if I wanted to set up a school, I needed to wait till like September, like I needed a lot of time. So I remember speaking to one of the school leaders, and she said to me that, Aramide, do you know that if you want to start this school by January, you can actually start by January? And I was like, what? Like, I have a September timeline here, madam. And she was like, no, you can actually start by January. And she was like, do this, you do this, you do that, you put this in place, you can get these resources from here, you can do this and you do that. And that was how I was able to completely flesh out a well-drafted plan, right, as to how to go about it. So this is just a side tip. If you have a goal and somebody is already living in the reality of that goal, don't start your journey from the beginning. Find them, reach out to them, get advice, buy their books. And sometimes it doesn't have to be one-on-one, right? There's a book that I read last year on nonprofits. It's Room to Read. The CEO of Room to Read, they wrote the book, and it's about how to build a sustainable nonprofit. And I read the book, and the book was very practical for me. And from that, I was able to build my organizational culture, put structures in my work and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be like coffee or having like physical mentorship with them or having a chat with them. It can be like buying their resources, buying their courses, like when they have programs, enrolling and joining, right? And so if you have a goal, that's one thing that can help you actually make your task list very, very easy to craft. So you're not doing this task and you're running around the bush because you don't know the road, like you don't know road, and you're blindfolded, you're walking around the forest, you don't know road, and you have not gone to meet anybody to help you. So you end up dancing around when you could actually have a straightforward way of going about things if you ask for help, right? And so after I knew, I had conversations with these people, I fleshed out, like I said, I continued to flesh out my task list, right? Then I started having conversations with people that could help with, okay, we knew that we had to fundraise. So I booked a meeting with a branding person. I booked a meeting with my coach. I had conversations with people, and they helped provide like perspective as to how I could go about setting up this free school, fundraising for it, and making sure that the education I wanted to provide to children was very qualitative. And so in terms of measurable, because I had that tax list, and it's not enough to just have the tax list like, speak to 10 school owners. So I didn't just have that, speak to 10 school owners, book a session with this branding person, visit some schools, because I had to visit some schools on the island and some schools on the mainland that were really good. Visit these schools. I didn't just have those goals naked there in that sense. I had them with timeline. So I said, okay, I got the idea in October. So between October, I knew that fundraising was going to start in 2023. So I knew that the only opportunity I actually had to build the foundation of my fundraising and to build the structure of the school, even before it started, so that people can actually donate to it, was the only time I had was between October to December. And it's very interesting because at that point, I just had a baby, right? My baby was 2 months old in October when I got that idea, right? And I still went ahead with it, right? So there's nothing that's too small, or there's nothing that's too big for you to do. Like, there's no situation where you cannot actually move ahead of your goals, move to achieve your goals. It might be slower than you planned, but you can always make a way around the excuses that a lot of people give to achieve their goals. And you just need to have a bias for execution. And I will talk more about execution and stuff like that, right? And so I designed a timeline between October and December. Okay, between this time and this time, I'm going to speak with 10 people, in 10 top school leaders in Africa. In November, from 1st of November to 30th of November, I'm going to schedule physical visits with top schools in Nigeria, in Lagos, of course, and visit the schools, ask questions. I prepared my list of questions. I mean, of course, I bought gifts, right? I bought gifts so that to say, of course, thank you for everything. But I had like a list of schools that I knew that I was going to visit. And so after doing that, I knew that, okay, I also had to speak to the government to know what are the kind of things I had to put in place. And then I set that timeline as well for November. So from October to December, everything I knew that I needed for the fundraising to go well, I needed to have it in place. And that's how you know that you're making progress towards your goal. Because when you have a tax list that is due by November, if you're able to achieve that tax list by November 30th, even if that goal is kind of draining and it's tiring, and you have to like send people emails, but they don't respond to you, or you have to be jumping from Uber to Uber, like jumping everywhere with your 2-month-old child, at least you know that by the end of November, this thing is going to be over and I'm going to have the result. And one mindset that I have is that time will always go. Time will always go. So 2023 started, right? You started with your goals, right? Some people would have their goals achieved, even 100%. Me, I just have 85, right? Some people have like 100% goal achievement. Some people have like 60%. Some people have 20%. And some people just feel like maybe they were not able to make as much progress as they thought that they would. But the major factor that everybody has is that last December 2023 has come. December 2023 has come. So I know that time will always go. But what gives us the results that we want at the end of a particular period of time, say a year or a month or a day, is what we actually put into time. So time is a very powerful mindset that helps me to literally run for my goals, because I know that time will go. Time will not wait for me. Time will always go. But when I achieve my goals, I'm not going to be the same person. And maybe some way I'm not going to earn the same income. I'm not going to be the same person. I'm not. So I always have that mindset that because time will always go, time is not my friend that would wait for me to be lazy or procrastinating every time. Time will not always be my friend. And so because I have that mindset, I know that once I set a timeline for something, I know that time is always going to go. So I'm always trying my best to catch up with that time and do what I have to do. And so by November ending, I already knew that I'm going to be able to achieve this goal because I've done this. I've been able to design a clear pathway. I've been able to make progress on some tasks that I was able to do. And then, I was seeing that I could actually achieve this thing, and it was becoming more closer to me, basically. And then the third thing is achievable, right? So I knew that your goal has to be achievable, like I said. So if I had a 2-month baby, right? I spoke to that school leader and she said, you can start this thing in January. I actually contemplated starting in January. And I remember when I did my calculations finish, my tax list finished, I said, if I actually start this thing in January, to start, I will burn out. So to me, in that phase of my life where I had a 2-month-old, it was not going to be achievable for me. So I looked for a timeline that was more achievable, and I put my goal within that timeline. And so it's always very important that when you're looking to achieve a goal, I always say, and my mentor told me this thing last week, she said that productivity is bespoke. It's bespoke. You have to contextualize it. Right? Whatever I'm even telling you here, please contextualize it. I always contextualize what I hear. Right? There are people that say, oh, they wake up they sleep for 4 hours. I don't know how to sleep for 4 hours. Right? I always work with whatever works for me. Yes, I take all the tips. I read books as much as possible. I learn as much as possible. But I always contextualize things for myself. There are people who tell you that, oh, when you read with music, you are more productive. But me, I know that sometimes I can't read with music because I have a baby and she's always going to watch like Miss Rachel or Listener Kids, or like there's always going to be like a cartoon background. So when everybody's having like lofi music playing in their background and just enjoying the sound of rain as they read and stuff, I know that I'm always going to have Mary as a little lamp in my background. And that's just my own context. So it's very important that you contextualize whatever, like your goals, you have to contextualize it to your reality, right? Nobody's giving an award for best in goal setting. Nobody. Your goal is your life. Like when you achieve your goal, you move your life forward. But there's no point achieving a goal and you break in the process. There's no point. So when I knew that January is not going to work for me, I had to I had to give myself brain, right? And I redesigned my timeline. So I think we ended up launching in May. So I gave myself April, and it was achievable for me. And it helped me to pace myself because I'm not in a race with anybody. So it helped me to pace myself so well. And then your goal has to be realistic, relevant. So of course it was realistic for me. It was relevant. I knew why I was doing it, and it was time bound. April 28th, 2022, 2023, that was our launch date. So what I did is that, and it's something that I'm going to share, in the process of going, is that at that point, when I knew that this was what I wanted to achieve, I put it out there, right? I have a lot of people in my life that I respect. I respect my family. I respect I respect my mentors. I respect people that dedicate their time to actually mentoring me, supporting me, checking on me. I respect them a whole lot, and I don't want to let them down. I like my reputation, right? I really, really like my reputation. So when I try to say that, when I announce that I'm going to do something, even though I don't feel like, I end up choosing that commitment over my feelings and putting my goals out there to people that I respect, help me to consistently choose my commitment over my feelings. And I feel like maybe this is why a lot of people are not able to achieve their goals. Maybe it's probably because you're always choosing your feelings over your commitment. And sometimes I'm not condemning you, because there's sometimes that you won't feel motivated. You might not feel motivated all year long, but you can be committed all year long. And you can do that by having accountability. So what I did was that we already had a launch date. I already knew that this was when we were going to launch. So I reached out to our graphics person on the team and said, design a flyer, Talent Mind School launch, April 28th, 2023. And I promise you, as at April 21st, I don't think we're ready, even about April 25th. I don't think we're ready, but I believe in something. Done is perfect. Done is perfect. Like it might not be 100% perfect. We might not have everything together. At the time when the school started, we didn't have all the classes, we didn't have all the teachers, we didn't have everything to put together. But then when the school started, we started getting teachers, we started getting more funding, we started getting resources, we started getting books. Like it got so scary. Like the way God started to provide for us got so scary that my team members and I will be having a meeting, and we'll be like, oh, it would be nice to do like a Christmas party for our kids. Oh, it would be nice to have Christmas party done for them. And suddenly somebody will just reach out and say, hi, I would like to host a Christmas party. I'm happy to fund this percentage of the cost and everything. And that was it. And I really believe so much in done is perfect. So when you're looking to achieve a goal, especially if you're a perfectionist and you always like to have all the details all together, and I'm not saying that you should not be excellent, but I'm just saying that don't let what you don't have stop you from actually moving on and doing, like, opening a bigger door for yourself with what you have. And so for me, I feel like in that context of setting up a free school for our children, I was able to set a SMART goal because it was measurable, it was achievable. I could do it. I knew my team members could do it. I knew that I could find people that could do it. It was realistic. I had a strong why. I was driven. I was committed, right? I was very specific. Set up a free school in Otta as at April 28th, 2023. and do a launch as at that day. And then it was time bound. There was a time to it, right? So it is very, very important that your goal is smart. Like that's the foundation of it. Once your goal is smart, you have a roadmap. The only thing that will be left for you to do is just to take action. To be honest, it's just to take action, right? And that's why I spent a lot of time talking on it about it. Then the second thing I would like to mention is how important it is. A lot of people set goals, and it's very interesting because my friend Harry made a post on it this evening, right? And I'm a very strong believer in setting systems rather than goals. I hardly set goals. I hardly, except if they are very like very specific in the sense of, okay, I want to build a school. But if I want to, so let me give an example. I'm a Christian. So if I want to read my Bible cover to cover, finish my Bible next year, I wouldn't set a goal like finish your Bible next year. I won't do that. I would start a system. I would build a system that would help me achieve that, right? And at the end, that system will actually help me build a habit and a lifestyle that will outlive that goal. And so I'll just give an example. I want to read my Bible. I want to cover my Bible at December 2024, right? A great system to have in place would be signing up to a full Bible coverage plan by YouVersion. And you have a system every day where by 5 a.m. or during your devotion, you dedicate about 10 minutes or 5 minutes, because it's great to always start small, right? So you dedicate like 5 to 10 minutes to reading a chapter, or maybe 2 chapters, or I don't know, right? I don't think you can read the chapter in 10 minutes anyway, right? But like breaking down the system to, finding a platform that already has an existing system that you can leverage on. So I'll just say for me, this year, I wanted to read the entire Bible. So I know that one app that is very popular that can help me is YouVersion, right? And they have different plans. They have 3 days plan, 7 days plan, 5 days plan. And if you want a year plan that you finish the Bible cover to cover in 1 year, they have that plan too. And that's the plan that I'm currently on. And one other very interesting thing that YouVersion has that gingers me like very good is the streak. The streak. Oh God, I love the streak. And because there's a streak that, okay, the streak in terms of when you read for 10, you're able to see like how you have consistently shown up for your spiritual life every single day, right? And so I have that number counting. And every day when I look at it, I see that, oh my God, I'm 100. I'm in 200. I'm able to see that, wow. So for 200 days, I've showed up. And it gets to a point where I won't even rely on that anymore. It just becomes a part of me. And I'm like killing 2 stones. I'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Because while I have a goal of reading the Bible that day, I've created a system that helps me to read the Bible as a very strong habit for me. So even in 2024, if I don't have the goal to read the Bible cover to cover, it's already in my blood. Like that, I cannot wake up one day and not read my Bible. Something else that I did is journaling. I write letters to God a lot. So something else I did this year that really helped with my mental health, especially, is journaling, writing letters to God. And so what I did was that, of course, I wanted to have like a 365-day streak of writing to God. So what I did was that I designed a system around it. So I got a journal and a pen, and every single night I'll charge my phone in the parlor and I put my journal beside my bed. So immediately I wake up, instead of the first phone call or the first any distraction that can come from my phone, the first thing I'm seeing is my journal and my pen. And it makes it easy for me to actually achieve that goal of journaling. So sometimes, instead of thinking of your goal as an output in that sense, why not focus on the outcome, which is more long-term and which can even make you a better person, right? And I also feel like when you have like a goal as an output, once it is done, like once you discipline yourself to lose 10 kg by December 2024, how do you maintain that 10 kg if you don't have a system that is running? How do you maintain the weight, the current weight that you have if you don't have a running system? And so it is very important to design systems rather than goals. A quote by James Clear says that you do not rise to the level of your goals. So you do not become as ambitious as your goal is. You fall to the level of your system. What are you doing every single day to help you to achieve this goal that you set? What's the system that you put in place? What system that you put in place? If you want to lose weight, a clear way to do so is to probably stop eating after 7 p.m. or probably cut down soda, right? And so if you have set a goal that, okay, I'm not going to take soda, I'm going to take soda only once a week. So I'm going to drop my soda down to just once a week. At the end, you actually end up losing weight because you have put a system in place. So I really believe more in setting and putting in place systems rather than goals. To write a book, if you're going to write a book, you need to build a daily system of writing where every single day by 1 p.m. during lunch at work, you're going to sit down, you're going to plug in, you get a particular place where you can sit down, plug your ears in if music works best for you, and then you're going to write. You will just write. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, you will just write. You will just write. So you need to put a system in place to help you achieve this goal. You need a system. For me, when I was trying to set up the school, I needed to have a strong accountability system. Right. And I put that in place by announcing my goal in public, telling it to my mentors, telling it to everybody. And I put a system in place where I had dedicated days that every single day, like this particular days of the week, I'm going to focus on doing this that is going to move me closer to my goal. So you need to find time and create a system around what you want to achieve, right? And then final thing that I feel like a lot of people make mistake on in goal setting is that they set their goals around things that they cannot control. So for example, somebody tells you a goal like, I want to get into 5 fellowship programs. And this is just an example because 5 fellowship programs, getting into 5 fellowship programs is a lot, right? So let's say you want to get into 2 fellowship programs in 2024, or you want to get into 2 international opportunities in 2024, right? And so you have not set a goal around what you can control. You can't control if you're going to get accepted or not. You can't. But what you can control is the number of applications that you're going to put out, the quality of applications that you're going to put out, the people who are going to stand in as referees for you. You can control those, right? So instead of setting a goal on things that you can't control, things that are outside your scope of control, why not set a goal on things that you can actually control by yourself? And at the end, whether you get it or not, because you've set it around things you can control, you actually be proud of yourself for taking action. And I mean, that's if you don't even end up getting that opportunity, right? So if you have a goal of, I want to grow my social media I want to add 20,000 more followers on Instagram. You can't control if people will follow you or not. And at the end of the year, if you don't have 20K followers, you're going to feel bad. So you can't control that, but you can control your posts. You can control what you put out that's going to attract these people. You can control the kind of things you're going to do. You can control the value that you can give that's going to attract these people. So it's very, very important that you set goals around things that you can control. You cannot control how many people follow your social media or if they will even follow you, but you can definitely control how you show up, right? You cannot control how many opportunities that you get into at the end, but you can control how many opportunities that you will apply for. At the beginning of the year, I think I applied for about, I don't really apply for a lot of opportunities, to be honest. Right. I think I applied for about 5 or 6 opportunities, and I was able to get into half of it. 3. Yeah, I think I was able to get like 3 or 4 opportunities this year. Right. So there was no way I could have controlled that. Oh, I'm going to get into 3 opportunities. There's no way, because the judges are very subjective. Like the way they judge is subjective. If somebody brings you in, if they change that person next year, that same person, if that same opportunity, if someone else is to be the judge of your application, the person might not bring you in. And I can't control that, but I can control how many opportunities that I can apply for. Right. So I feel like these are very basic things that a lot of people, when they get frustrated on their goals, right, it's because they don't have it broken down. The goals are not smart. The goals are not smart, and there's no system. There's no system. There's no system for it. There's no system for it. You're saying that you want to write a book. How? How do you want to write a book when you have not designed a system for writing daily? You have not you have not blocked your calendar that from this time to this time, me now, it's going to be very difficult to reach me from 6 till around 7:38. It's going to be very difficult to reach me because immediately I wake up, I want to spend time with myself, I want to spend time with God, and I want to spend time with my family. And so it can be very difficult to actually reach me between those time periods. And that's because I had a goal to achieve these three things: spend time with God, spend time with my family, spend time with with myself. And I set a system around it. So if you want to achieve your goal, the fastest way to do so, to be honest, is to set a system around it. You want to write a book, set a system of writing. You want to read the Bible, engage an existing system like YouVersion. You want to pray more, you want to pray more, put a system in place, get alarms. Get alarms. Alarm, when you have alarms that are ringing, and you time the alarm, your destiny is calling you. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Like having those systems in place helps a lot. It helps a lot. It's very important to set those systems around your goal, right? So let's just move on, right? Okay. So the real stuff of today's session, right, is to speak more about the 12-year plan. So when I entered 2023, right, I feel like I entered 2023 kind of overwhelmed because I knew that, of course, I mentioned that at the beginning, at the last part of the year, I knew that we're going to transition to a school, right? And so when I was entering 2023, I was entering with a baby. And of course, I always want to be present in my house and in my home. But I also knew that I had more responsibilities right now. And the school was going to start a new phase, which was literally going to take 90% of my time as opposed to before. So before, the children were going to other schools, and because they were going to other schools, I was literally free, like between Monday to Friday. I could focus on other things. But now that there's a school, I actually have to be at the school on some days of the week to make sure that things are going as planned with the teachers, with the children, and everything is going with the quality that we really want it to go. And so I started researching more about how can I pace myself in the achieving of my goal, such that I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm also able to achieve my goals while staying like motivated and driven all through the year. And then I stumbled upon this 12-week system. And I think that I shared this system, I think last year, maybe I had a call like this, yeah, with this group. I'm not sure if it was my community members that I had this call with, but I did something, I shared this resource. Okay, so it was during the Ideas to Action session that we had earlier this year. And I talked about this 12-week system of setting goals. And it has really helped me this year. Right. So I'll just go straight into it. But before I go, let me know, are you ready? Are you still here? I'm reading the chat right now. Are you still here? Let me know if you're still here in the chat too. Let me know. Put it in the chat. Are you ready for the 12-week session? Are you ready? Let me know if you're ready. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if this has been helpful so far. Amazing. Ready. Amazing. Okay, so let's get right into it. So this is what the 12-week year system is all about. It is about how you can achieve more in 90 days than a lot of people do in a year. And it's so interesting because people underestimate what they can do in 3 months and they overestimate what they can do in a year. And that is why if you're going to be honest, and let me know in the chat, right, if I'm lying or if I missed you. You were more motivated to quickly catch up on your 2023 goals starting from October, November, December. Let me know if I'm right in the chat. Let me know if I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm looking at the chat right now, so I'm going to be seeing your responses. And Ella says very true. You were more motivated between October, November, and December. Let me know if it's not the truth for you. Say it that it wasn't really the truth for you, right? But like, were you more driven or were you more hyped between October, November, and December? Because like, oh, the year is going, so let me just quickly do what I can do, so that it's not like I did not achieve any goal this year. Amazing. So a lot of people are saying it's very true, very true, very true, very true. And at the end, you find that you're kind of like not crashing, but you're kind of clashing across different things, because the goal that you set from beginning of the year that you're meant to have been doing from beginning of the year, like 12 months would have been well enough time for you to actually do it. By October, you just woke up to the reality that, oh my God, I was meant to write a book this year. Wow, let me see what I can quickly do. And so you started to try to come up, but it started getting like overwhelming. And if you're like me, like I'm not really a fan of the end of the year, because the end of the year is very busy for me. We have Christmas party for the children, we have to round up for the term. There's a lot that has to go on, family engagement and stuff like that. So there's a lot that has to go on. So I always try to achieve my goals latest by October, right? Latest by October. I always aim that by October 2020, October of every year, I'm done with all of my goals, so that I can dedicate to November, and of course November, to relaxing, reflecting, just chilling, right? And then December to spending time with my family completely, because that's the season where everybody's literally around and it's festive season. And so in this, in this 12-week year system, basically, what you are what is all about is you have to break your goals down into a 3 month basis. So let me explain better, right? So we have 4 quarters in a year, right? We have 4 quarters in a year. We have Q1, that's January, February, March. We have Q2, April, May, June. We have Q3, July, August, September. Then we have Q4, October, November, December. So in Q1, one goal that I had, and I always advise that your goal should not be too much. Your goal, when it's broken down, it should not be too much. At least it should not be more than 3, so that you're able to focus fully. If you try to pursue so many fishes at the same time, you will not catch any. You will not catch any. So in goal setting and achievement of goal, 2 things are very important. Number 1, focus. Number 2, time management, right? So I mentioned at the beginning that if you actually have a SMART goal, you are good to go. But you need 2 things to fuel the achievement of your goal, right? You need focus and you need strong time management. You need a very strong time management system. And what this 12-week year does for you is that, the trick at the beginning of the year is that, I have 12 months to do this thing. So sometimes people end up waiting to like die time, like to the end of the year, basically, to start doing it. But if they had actually broken it down to quarters, then they wouldn't have had to wait to the end of the year to actually get it done, right? And so since you know that you have 12 months to do it, you can relax. Like, you forget yourself in June. and May and April and August, you forget yourself because in your head it's like I still have a lot of time. And that's kind of how everybody's mind works, even my own, right? My mind is always trying to figure out how to save me from doing hard work, from doing what I'm meant to do part time. But then when I have a ringing alarm in my head that, okay, this thing is due by this time, and this time is not, I don't have up to 12 months, then it helps me to actually do what I have to do at the right time. Right. And so let me give like an example. So when I'm going to just keep using the same example, right? So when the school was starting, right, I had a timeline of April. That's Q2, right? The ending of Q2. So I knew that all through Q1, my focus was to start fundraising. So the plan for Q1 was start fundraising and start getting things in place. Those were my two big priorities for Q1. So in January, I knew that fundraiser was going to start in February. I think February 12th or so. So fundraiser was going to start in February. So what I did all through January was that I started to say, okay, what are the list of individuals, organizations that we can start reaching out to from now on? How can we set up our GoFundMe page? How can I record a video to share what I want to do? How can I design? Of course, I did add a business plan from the year before, right? But for January, I had a list of tasks that I had to do that. Okay, by this month, I have to do this so that we can, the plan for the quarter is actually to raise the money that we need for the second quarter, right? And so saying that I want to start a school, and this is the advantage of having a smart goal, because when you have a smart goal that is time bound, you're able to prepare ahead, right? You cannot tell me that you want to apply for a master's program in maybe for a US school, maybe in the UK you can actually end up applying till like July and still getting, but for a US school, for very serious US schools, right, application closes around March. So you cannot be telling me in January or February that you want to apply for a master's program at, let's say, Harvard. I won't take you seriously because at that time, number one, the application has even closed because Harvard application closes in January 5th, by 5th of January. So you cannot be telling me in November that you just want to do an application, or December that you just want to do an application for Harvard. You have to write SOP. You have to request transcripts. You have to request a lot of things. You have to get recommendation letters. And so it is not realistic, like it's literally choked up. But when you have a goal that is time bound, you already know ahead. If you know that I want to submit my application, even though the application closes by January, I want to submit a month ahead, December 5. And so when you know that by December 5, 2024, I'm going to submit my Harvard application, then you should have started writing your SOP from March, so that you have to review. You need time to actually keep reviewing. And of course, different achievements still keep coming up as your year go round, right? So you keep updating, you keep working on it, so that when the timeline comes, you are ready and you are not overwhelmed, basically. So I feel like that's why a lot of people get overwhelmed, because of course they don't have a timeline that is set to their goals, and then there's no proper breakdown of this goal. There's no proper breakdown. And so one thing I did this year that really helped me a lot, especially for the fact that I wanted to also score high in my house, basically, was breaking down my goals. I had goals for Q1. I have top 3 priorities. And I always advise for every year, if you're setting goals for every year, don't have more than 6 goals. Don't be having a goal. Like, let your goal be able to fit into something like this. Your goal for the year. Your goal for the year. Let it fit into the size. I'm sure you can see this size. So if you're writing your goal for the year, it should not be more than this size. If you write all your goals, all my goals for 2024 can fit into this paper. It can fit into this paper. And so let your goals be so that you're not overwhelmed, you're not choked, you're not going through you're not having hypertension, basically, because you want to achieve a goal. So you break your goal down, like don't have more than advisable 7 for a year. 6, 7. I always keep my own down to 5, to be honest. 5, of which 2 of them will be very big. Like 2 of them will be massive. And then the remaining 3 would be things that I want to, maybe systems that I want to keep building. And so let your goals be very, 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 and it helps you to be specific, right? It helps you to cut out the nonsense. The things that are not goals, there are things that you've seen online. There are things that are nice to have because you've seen someone who is a travel, maybe a travel blogger traveling and going around. And because of that, you have cut it like, so there are dreams that are internally generated. There are dreams that they are pure dreams. Like, wow, this has always been my dream since when I was a child and stuff like that. But there are dreams that are gotten from social media. And so you need to be very, very careful about, and that's why I mentioned that your goal has to be connected. Like you have to be very connected to it. And that's how you're going to find strength to actually get it done. That's how you're going to find strength. So even when you don't feel motivated, that's how you're going to find the strength to carry yourself and do what you have to do. But if it's something that is borrowed, you just found it on social media, it's nice to have. You don't feel connected to it, but the fact that having this goal makes you feel like an important person. You're not going to get anything done because there's no personal connection to it. Okay, so it's very important, as I was saying, that you have your goals very, very specific and very as concise as possible. And then when you have these goals, let's say you have 4 goals for this year, right? And maybe, for example, the 4 goals you have is number 1, you want to lose 10 kg. I don't know what my obsession with losing 10 kg is, right? But you want to lose 10 kg by December 2024. Then maybe another goal you have is you want to launch your fashion business by, let's say, June 2024. And maybe after launching by June 2024, you want to sell 50 years of your fashion items by December 2024. And then maybe a final goal that you have is you want to start your master's program by October 2024. Can you break these goals into quarters? Break it down. If you say you're going to lose, you just put it down there as, I'm going to lose 10 kg in 12 months. All through 12 months, you're going to be trying to lose 10 kg. So there's no, and this is where your goal being measurable comes in. You have to break it down. 10 kg, you have 4 quarters, divide it by 4, 2.5 kg. If I lose 2.5 kg per quarter, I am good to go. I am doing well. I'm doing well. And that's why sometimes there are people that they are trying to lose weight, but they have cheat days. And I feel like for most people that have cheat days, one thing that passes them to get on their cheat day is because they've lost the weight they are meant to lose for a particular frame of time. So the cheat day is just a reward. And so if you're struggling with being motivated, this is where you're missing it. Your goal is too hectic. It is too big. It's overwhelming. And so you keep going, 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 you keep going. I want to lose 10 kg. You keep going, you keep doing your exercises, you keep doing stuff. But then within a period of time, you're judging yourself by 10 kg, 10 kg, 10 kg, 10 kg. But why not reduce the metric? Because 10 kg is a lot. Think about it, it's a lot. But when you say, this year, this 3 months, I only need to lose 2.5. If I do this today, do this tomorrow, do this 3 times a week, cut soda at this time, and that's how you start to actually find things that you can do that are easy for you to do it. So I'm going to, in Q1, I'm going to focus on losing 2.5 kg. So your goal in Q1 is 2.5 kg, not 10 kg. And it reduces that overwhelm from you. It makes it easier. It makes it closer. Because it's like, it's just 2 kg. I can do it, right? And it gives you a mindset of, I'm running against time. So if you have, I want to lose 10 kg in 12 months, you can actually end up starting that process of losing 10 kg in October. And when you start losing, compare the kind of mess you'll be in. If you start, if you decide that, every month, every quarter, I'm going to lose 2.5 kg versus 1 quarter, October to December, I'm going to lose the entire 10 kg. Because from beginning of the year till October, you literally just forgot yourself. And then in October, just to catch up, you're going to get tired, you're going to get burnt out, you're going to get exhausted, literally. And you might not even end up losing the 10 kg because stress. But when you break your goals down, it's closer. It looks closer. When we started setting up the school, of course, it looked like a big goal. Like it was huge. It was huge. I remember one day I called my friend, I started crying. I started crying. That, hey, God, this thing that God has told me to do. But when I broke it down into tasks, I started seeing that, okay, if I can get this thing done by November, I'm going to do this thing, no. I'm going to do this thing, no. And so month by month, I had a target that I was hitting. Do you know the kind of energy that would give? The kind of energy that gave me that I can do this thing. Like I can do hard things. I can do it. And I did it until we did it. Like literally did it. And so if you overwhelm yourself, if you choke yourself with a year's goal and you don't break it down to 12 weeks, 12 weeks, you break it down. This is what I'm going to do. And after breaking it down to 12 weeks, of course, you now end up breaking it into months, right? So when you have Q1, right? Q1, January, February, March, right? So you have January, February, March. In January, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe in January, okay, you need to lose 2.5 kg. So in January, I'm going to spend maybe a week, the first week in January, you're going to look for a fitness coach or look for a gym in your area. And then maybe you're going to sign up for a training session. And then for the second part of January, you're going to end up saying, okay, I'm going to lose what's 2.5 divided by 3, right? So I'm going to lose that amount in January. Do you know that at the end of January, if you check the scale and you have lost that amount and even more, do you know you'll be proud of yourself and you will keep going? You will actually keep going because you'll be like, wow, it's not like it's hard though. I can actually do it. It's closer to you. You want to start your master's in October. If you start writing SOP, statement of purpose, in September, you will write nonsense. I'm telling you, you will write nonsense. You will write nonsense because it is rushed. Your referees might not even answer you because, except if you are using your best friend as a referee, but your referees might not end up answering because they are busy people and you're putting them on rush work. They're putting them on rush work. I wrote reference for someone that I really, really like and respect last week. And I think the application is due like in how many months? Like it was due like 2 months after or so. But she gave me a timeline of a month. And within that month, last week, I was just able to submit it last week. But I spent time revisiting it and saying, okay, what have I not added? And this is just a referee. Like, imagine if it was a statement of purpose. You need time. I used 6 months to write my SOP. For March, I submitted my application in December 5. So I used like, for my Harvard SOP, I started in March. I had a rough draft. And then, of course, like, a whole lot about myself. Oh, then back and forth. The ideas were coming. I was just writing. Then I had the timeline by June. I knew that okay, by June it's time to start getting these ideas together. And then I knew that okay, I needed people to review my SOP. So I gave it 2 months, August, September. So I started passing it out to my friends and my mentors. Please review. And I know people have busy schedules, so I made time for it. And that's where breaking down your goals come in. If you break it down, you will be at peace. Like you won't have to rush anything. You won't have to lose sleep. You won't have to kill yourself. You will just be flowing. Because everything has its time and place. Is this helpful? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Is this helpful? Let me know in the chat. Is this helpful? I might feel like this was where they kind of got it wrong this year. I might feel like, oh wow, this is probably where I got it wrong this year. This is where I got it wrong. All right, so I'm happy that this is helpful. Break your goals down. Break it into quarters. Q1 to Q4. I do it in my organization as well. I give my team member, this is your KPI for this quarter. So when we are doing performance review, you need to have enrolled this number of children. You need to have done this particular thing. So you break it down into quarters, right? Then after breaking it down into quarter, you break it into month. January, February, March, right? January, February, March. If I'm going to do this, achieve this Q1 goal, I have to do this in January. So at the end, after it's a lot of work, but when you get the work done, it's easier. So it's like this. After you set a smart goal for January, December, for the year, annual smart goal, you break it down and set another smart goal for Q1 to Q4. You break it down again and set another smart goal for January, for each month. Then you break it down again and set another smart goal for weekly. That's okay this week, and you can put a treat at the end of the week. At the end of this week, and the more you break it down, the easier. So imagine if this 10 kg, it's easy. Like it's easy if you break it down. If you break it down, imagine if you had to just lose 0.1 kg every day. It's not easy. It's not easy. Like it makes it easier. Imagine you want to write a book. Just write one paragraph every day. Just write one paragraph. One. And that's why I said that if you build a system, you will achieve your goals. If you sit down and say, every day I'm going to write one paragraph, you will write a book. You will write a book and more. And more. And more. It makes it easier. Right? So you have to break your goals down quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. And at the end, what this means is that you now makes you value your time more. Because you know that by you're breaking your down daily. So you know that this day is starting by 9 a.m. That's an example. My day starts at 9 a.m. and my day ends at, maybe I go to bed at maybe 9 p.m. Let's say 9 to 9. So for example, let's say, this is just an example, right? You have just a timeline between when you're awake and when you sleep. What this will help you do is it will help you account for every single day. Because when you tick today's box, you are going to tick the box at the end of the month. Because ticking today's box is connected to ticking January endings box. Does this make sense? Ticking today's box. I want to write a book. At the end of January, I want to write a book, 12 chapters. Or I want to write a book, 8 chapters that will launch in, I want to write a book, 5 chapters that will launch in August. When I break it down to write 10 minutes, very easy. 10 minutes, just take 10 minutes and write. Write anything that comes to your mind regarding this book you want to put out. 10 minutes. You know that if I take that 10 minutes today, no how. At the end of January, chapter 1 is ready. Chapter 1 is ready. So you have to break your goal down. You have to break your goal down, right? You have to break it down. Quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily. You break it down. When you get to the daily part, it will be very easy for you. What looks big like this, it will come down. It will come down. And this is why when you get to the daily down, you will actually know if your goal is achievable or not. You will know. Because you know that I won't be able to achieve this timeline. If I want to write a book in February, I can't achieve a timeline of writing for just 5 minutes a day now, because I won't be able to have quality work done, or my book will not be done. So you will know if it's achievable. So you break your goals down, right? And let me tell you why this 12-week system works. Number one, it makes your goal to be less overwhelming. A 10 kg goal that was very big or a lot, has reduced to 2.5 in just 3 months. And there are people who actually lose 2.5 in a month. Right? So you can, it makes your goal very small, very easy to achieve. It makes it very easy to achieve. If you write every day, you want to write a big book. At the end of the month, you have chapter 1. And that's what this 12, because you are racing against 12 weeks. I have just 12 weeks. You're not racing against 12 months again. So all that deception that your brain is telling you that, oh, you still have to the end of the month. You don't have it. You don't have that luxury of time again. You don't have that luxury. So you have kind of reconditioned yourself and put yourself in another world. So when people are saying that I still have till December, I say, you know that I don't have till December. I don't have till December. I have till this. I have to this time. And when your goal, when you have a strong why for your goal, to be honest, you're not going to need anybody to pursue you up and down. You'll be driven to actually get it done. Right? So the 12-week system also gives you early feedback and momentum. Right? It helps you to know if you're doing well, it helps you to see how much progress you're making. It helps you to reward yourself. It helps you to reward yourself. Every Friday, I have a standing night of relaxation. Like, I always try to avoid fixing meetings and things for Friday. I always try to avoid it because I feel like Friday is my reward day. Like, I've worked hard from Monday to Thursday. So like, I just want to chill on Friday. So Friday is my reward day. But I know that if I don't achieve my goals from Monday to Thursday, I don't have that day out. I don't have that day out. So it's always important to have that reward day. Last year, what I did was I had like ice cream every Friday. I had ice cream every Friday. This year, my plan was like take Friday off, like take it off. If you finish your tax for the week, you take Friday off and rest. And so, it helps you to get momentum because you know that, wow, I did this today. Like, I achieved this today. When I woke up yesterday, when I woke up this morning, I woke up cold. And I was asking my husband that, I think it was yesterday night. So I'll go ahead with this planning session like this. Oh, should I just move it to next week? Because I don't want to be sneezing and doing stuff on the call. And I was like, just get it done. Just get it done. Right? And so even though I could have moved this session, it was a goal for me this week. And I'm happy that I'm getting it done right now. But it was a goal, it was a very strong goal for me this week. And that's also where accountability comes in. Because when you have strong accountability, when you want to chicken out, your accountability will tell you that, see, this one is not an excuse. Do what you have to do. And you set yourself up for it. You set yourself up. When I remember in 2021, when I wanted to write my first book, I remember I gave my timeline. The plan was to release the book on my birthday, right? So what I did was that it was 2020. So what I did was that I struck a deal with my husband. At the time, we were still dating. So I struck a deal and I was like, okay, I want to release a book by August 16th, which is my birthday, in 2020. By July 15th, I want to have submitted the book ready for out, like ready to go out. I want to have submitted it to you. And what I did, very crazy, was that I took all my savings in PiggyVest and sent it to him. And I said to him that, see, if by July 15th you don't get this book, don't return the money back to me. But if you get this book, please, I beg in the name of God, please return my money back. And I did that. And of course, I was able to write my book because I had to choose between, okay, am I going to procrastinate? Or am I just going to do what I have to do? And of course, impact the life of people. Because to date, I still actually get feedback from that book. On how it has literally changed lives. And that's because I set myself up. So accountability is always a very big deal in goal setting, right? So back to the 12-week system. The 12-week system gives you early feedback and momentum. You're able to encourage yourself and keep going because you can clearly see you're making progress. It keeps you going because it's a shorter period of time compared to 12 months. You are racing against 12 weeks, you're racing against 9 p.m. because you know that once it's 9 p.m., you can't, you can't, you have to go to bed or something. For me, I'm always racing against 4 p.m. because I know I leave school around 3, 4, and I get home around 4:30. Right. So if I leave school around 3, I end up getting home, say 4 o'clock, 4:30. So I always race. I have a race for 4 p.m. that every single day, irrespective of what time I wake up. If I wake up late, that's my own business. But by 4 p.m., I have to be back home to spend time with my family. I have to be back home. And so you need to set yourself up with this kind of system, right? And the 12-week system also helps you to focus, right? Because every single quarter, you have your 3 big priorities. So when something is trying to rear its ugly head as a priority, you know that, no, this is not my priority. So you won't have time for frivolities because you have priorities, right? But when you have this system in place, you're able to focus and manage your time better, right? So I'm happy that we've all mentioned in the chat that this system is very, very helpful. And I mean, I really advise you to use this system for 2024. So let me know in the chat, how many persons here will be using this system for their 2024 goals? I'm wrapping up shortly. All right, let me know in the chat. Are people sleeping? People have gone to cook beans. Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Let me know in the chat. Are you going to use this system next year? Are you going to use it? Let me know. I will. Thank you. Yes, amazing. Okay, so let's move on to the final part, right? How I achieve my goals for 2023. Right, how did I achieve 85% of my goals? And these are just tips, right? I know that generally there are people who actually enjoy tips, like they like, I want to have tips now. Oh, you said all these system things. Okay, share the tips. Like, what are the tips? I want tips. So these are like for people that want tips. Like, here you go. The first thing that really worked so well for me in achieving my goal is consistency and discipline. So no matter how good you set your goal, no matter how you even like put your goal in, no matter how much you will make your goal to be, break it down into quarter, at the end you need to take action. You need to take action at the end. That's the baseline. You need to take action. You can't escape it. There's no tip or hack against taking action. The best tip or hack you can get is actually how to make it make your goal less overwhelming. But at the end, you actually have to take action, right? So it's very important that you take action on your goal. So help me, consistency and discipline. When I put that system in place, I knew that every single day I had to fight for this one thing. I had to fight for this one thing because if I miss it today, I've scattered the quarter. It's like a domino. It's like a domino. If you kick one out, everything falls. So I fought for my consistency and discipline this year. And it helped a lot. It helped a lot. And the truth is that I feel like when you're able to put these systems in place, because all these things are systems that help you. When you're able to put these systems in place, you become a better person. Like it translates from just achieving a goal, like from just being a person who wrote a book to being a person who is actually disciplined, being a person who's actually consistent. And you can actually translate that system to every other goal, no matter the time it comes in. Second thing that helped is accountability. So I mentioned I have different accountability systems in place. Accountability with my team members, accountability with my mentors and coaches, accountability with my pastors, and accountability with social media. I feel like that social media the time where I go to announcing my goals on social media is when I know that this procrastination thing, it wants to swallow me, and I will not allow it to swallow me. So I just go and announce it there. And I know that at the end, people will like start reaching out to ask for it. So I know I have to get it done. I have to get it done. And so accountability is very paramount, like very, very. This year I knew I wanted to pray more. And so I have a someone that I respect so much. And so what I did was that I reached out to him and I said, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to pray every day. And I'm going to send you a message when I'm done. I'm going to send you a message when I'm done. That, okay, I'm done praying for today. Thank you. And I was doing that. And in times where maybe something came up at that time and I didn't do it, he would just reach out to me. I've not seen your prayer for today. Accountability is a very big part of how I was able to achieve my goals. Because sometimes I'm not in the mood. Like I just don't want to do this. Like, to be honest, like this goal setting thing, it would have been very convenient for me to move it to next week because I'm feeling cold. Like I've been sneezing since. And so it would have been very convenient for me to just move it. But because I've announced my goal, I've set myself up. So I knew that I just had to do it. I just had to do it. Right? Mentorship and the role of coaches. And I mentioned this over and over again. Having a strong bias for execution is the same thing as number one. No matter what, you can't run away from taking action. No matter what you do, you just can't explain it. I don't know how people explain it, but you just can't. You just can't explain it. You can't explain it. Like you can't run away from it. You just have to take action. You have to have a strong bias. Like just do what you have to do. Like just do it. Me now, if I don't do what I have to do, my mind will start disturbing me. Like I won't be feeling good. So let me just do what I have to do. It'll be difficult, but let me just do what I have to do. And I feel like research actually shows that like taking action on the things, like when you set a goal, you make a promise to yourself. So let me just give you an example. Like this is the one that you will relate to it the most. I've sent this session, right? I've sent you a Zoom link. I sent you everything. I've said how powerful the session will be. I've said how you deal with procrastination. I've said how you deal with consistency. I've said how I'm excited to have this conversation with you and do this thing with you. And then you come on the Zoom call and I'm not here. And then you probably wait for like 10 minutes. Maybe she's having network issues. She's still not here. Oh, okay, let me just still wait. Maybe is the session is like the patient dog eats the fattest bone kind of thing. Maybe she's trying to do something like that. So let me wait for like 30 minutes and I still don't join. And then I don't even send an email to communicate that, hey, this one has come up. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't be able to do it anymore. You just don't hear from me point blank. Let me know in the chat. How would you feel? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know. How would you feel? After everything, after announcing this session, after you've prepared your mind, you've cleared your schedule, you bought notes, you bought biro, you bought everything, you sat down, you sent to your family members away from the house that please, I want quiet. So yeah, get out. You've prepared yourself, your mind, you've prepared everything. You prepared everything to be here. And suddenly Daniel said you go on social media and tell everybody that this lady did not honor her promise. So you can imagine. But do you know that when you set a goal for yourself, that is what you do? That is what you do. You do it to yourself. You feel disappointed. You feel sad. You not feel happy. You announce it on social media that this guy is not serious. Like Doris said, I feel like you're not even serious. But you know, we do it to ourselves. When you set a goal, you tell yourself that Aramide, you're going to write a book this year. You have a vision board. You put it there. And at the end of the year, you're staring at the vision board. The vision board is staring at you. You have not done anything. Okay, people are not talking in the chat again, Abby. So when I was saying that, I was one that did not turn up for this session. People said disappointed, everything. But now, when I said you do it yourself, people are not saying anything again. So, but why? Why do we do it to ourselves? This is what we do when we don't achieve our own goals. You make a promise to yourself and then you turn your back on yourself. And research actually shows that that has a very strong relationship to do with your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and how you see yourself. And sometimes maybe the reason why you're not as confident as you feel, of course, there are deep-seated issues why people are not confident. Maybe they were compared a lot as children and stuff like that. That's separate. But maybe sometimes the reason why you don't feel as confident as you should is because every single time when you tell yourself, when you make yourself a promise, you keep breaking the promises you make to yourself. Maybe that's why. Today I feel like my confidence rate has gone like, well, off the roof. And after this session, I'm going to do something nice for myself, because this morning when I woke up, I had a speaking engagement this morning. And then after the speaking engagement, I had other things that I needed to do. And of course, I needed to send the link, and I needed to have this session. I needed to prepare for this session. And I had a lot to do. And I have an application that is due that I have to submit tonight. And when I was leaving this morning, yesterday I was telling my husband that I don't think I want to do this application. Like, I feel like it's so difficult. I feel like it's so difficult. I just felt like I was bailing on a lot of things on this planning session. There's flu. I'm sneezing, and I have to do this application, but maybe I should just not apply for this thing, because it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. Having to honor all the engagements and all the goals I've set for myself today. It's a lot of work. But this morning I woke up, and after my husband encouraged me yesterday night, I woke up, and please, it's very important to surround yourself with people that can always encourage you. Right? So I woke up this morning and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. What's the worst that can happen? Yes, I'll come to this call and I'll keep tapping my nose as I'm doing right now because I'm sneezing, right? Or I'll keep sniffing in. Or in the speaking engagement I go to today, I'll keep sniffing in. As opposed to canceling and disappointing the audience because what? I'm sneezing. Who has not sneezed? Who has not caught a cold? So I ended up saying that, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do. And here I am doing what I have to do. Right? So it is always very important that as much as possible, just do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. Have a strong bias for execution. Have a strong bias for execution. And then sometimes when I know that I miss things out, I give myself grace. I give myself grace. I give myself grace when sometimes I know that I'm not able to get this done because I just didn't get it done. I give myself grace. I don't beat myself down for too long. I celebrate myself a lot. When I achieve a goal, a small milestone, like today, I'm going to take care of myself today because after this session, no, I'm giving myself high five. Complete. Complete. No deduction. Because everything I said I was going to do, even though it was difficult, I ended up doing it. And right now, I feel so good. I feel so good. And you can have this feeling every day. If only you just honor the promises you make to yourself. If only. So I celebrate myself, right? And then I know at the end that at the end of this year, like I said to you, time will go, right? 2024 is going to come. December is 2024 is going to come. And maybe we'll have a planning session again. I don't know. Right? But December 2024 is going to come. Next month, everybody's going to start doing vision board webinar, right? Goal setting webinar. You are going to see all those flyers. You see a lot of paid ones, free ones. You see everybody trying to help people set their goals. And I don't have any issues with that. But at the end, it is for you to know that you are the only one who's responsible for the outcome of your life. And time will still go. So after you do the whole vision board thing, do you have a system that you have designed to achieve that goal? Do you have a system? After you you've put a book, you have designed cover, you have put the book on your vision board. Do you have a system to actually bring that book to life? Or is it just there so that you can just show that, you've done vision board too? Is it just there? Because when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, at the end, it's you that's going to be disappointed in yourself. At the end, it's just you, it's your life. And final thing that helped me was knowing my why. Why do I want to achieve this goal? Right. So moving on, concluding thoughts for today is number one, I mentioned this at the beginning. Productivity is bespoke. What can work for me might not work for you. Design according to your context. take it based on your context. What will work for me might not work for you. I can tell you that when I wake up in the midnight, my brain works like fire. If I work in the midnight, if I work on a proposal in the midnight, I'm going to get that. If I work on an application or something in the midnight, I'm going to get it. No how. No how, because my brain is always on fire in the midnight. And so I cannot make it a rule that, oh, wake up by 3 a.m. if you want to be productive. There are people that if I say, oh, waking up at 3 a.m. works for me, between this period to this period, I'm able to be very productive. It might not work for you. It can be that 3 a.m., that's when your brain is sleeping. Like your brain cannot even work on something. And I feel like my husband and I are like very opposite. And sometimes we don't even compare ourselves to each other. Because while he's being productive during the day, my brain can be counting 1, 2, 3. And at night, when he's sleeping, that's when my brain is literally alert, ready to get things done. Right? So design according to your context. You're not in any competition with anybody. You're not in any competition to wake up at 3 a.m. You're not in any competition to do anything, to be honest. Do what works for you. Productivity is bespoke. Productivity for me as a mother who has a child is different from you. When I was still single, I could decide that I'm going to write a book and I'm going to write a book in 2 weeks. I can write a book in 2 weeks. Yes, I did it. I've done it before. Right. And it was good. But right now, I can't do it again because times and seasons have changed. So productivity is very, very, very bespoke. It's personal to you and you need to suit it to your context. Have a vision board, right? So as you have a vision board, right, it's also very important that you are crafting the systems that can work for you, bespoke for you, made for you by you, right? So do what works for you as long as you're able to achieve your goals. I always tell my team members, if you work remotely, if you like, I mean, as long as you join the meeting, just make sure that you are delivering the task. So if you like, don't how will I put it now? If you like, end up doing your work in the midnight. So that one's your own business. But just make sure that when we're having Monday check-in, you have achieved the goals that you've achieved. You plan to achieve, sorry. So productivity is very, very bespoke. Second thing that helped me this year, done is perfect. I say this thing, I've said it. I always say it, done is perfect. Done is perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do what you have to do. Done is already perfect, right? Don't overestimate the year, right? Don't underestimate the days, the 10 minutes you have. You can do a lot in 10 minutes. So I'm telling you, you can fill an application form. You can fill a part of an application form in 10 minutes, right? You can read a chapter of a book in 10 minutes. Yes, you can in 10 minutes. If you focus, you can, right? So don't overestimate the year and underestimate the month, the weeks, the days, the minutes, the seconds, right? We underestimate what we can do overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate how much we can do in a week, a day, or a month. Don't do that again, 2024. Don't make that mistake because it's the days, the seconds, the minutes that count up to the year, right? So you must break things down and you must value every minute. The final thing that worked for me, and this one I actually got it from someone I respect a lot, is having a victory board, right? So having a victory board, what that means is I personally have one that I call a brag sheet, right? So on my brag sheet, what I do is that every little amazing thing that I do, I always put it there so that on the days that I don't feel like going, on the days I feel exhausted, I am able to, go back to this sheet and get energy, right? And feel like, okay, maybe I'm not doing so bad myself, right? So having a brag sheet, but also having a victory board. So on this victory board, it can just be a cardboard pasted in your wall where you have sticky notes and you're just putting in, okay, every single day, what's the victory you have for that day? What went well for each day? And that helps you with gratitude. So on the times where you almost want to fall into like comparison, you can actually see that you're making progress, right? So as you have a vision board, also have a victory board. And I always advise people to always have a brag sheet so that on the days that you don't feel like it's like on the days I don't feel like Aramide, right? I actually have a brag sheet that I go back to that shows me, because it is documented, it is data, like it is real life. The way I feel is just a feeling, it's fickle, right? But that brag sheet, it is real life. It's like, this one is correct, right? So I have that sheet and it helps me every single time. And finally, no matter how much you plan, you always have to be very kind with yourself. Sometimes things might not go as planned, right? Things might not go as planned, but always remember that it is more, what's the word? It is commendable. Yeah, it's more commendable to walk, crawl, do whatever. Just make sure you're moving, right? And even while you move, things might not go as planned. So be kind with yourself and reiterate where possible, right? Done is perfect, and failure is a journey, it's not a destination. It's just a phase. It's just a thing, right? So don't take it personal, right? So I hope this session has been very helpful. The chat box is very quiet, and I'm wondering, why is chat box quiet? Let me know. Are people still here? At this point, we'll just start taking questions. But let me know where you are at. Let me know where you are at. Let me know where you're at. Let me know how you're feeling, how this session has been for you. Has it been very helpful? What did it blow? I don't want to say did it blow your mind, because don't blow your mind, right? But how do you feel currently? Was this very helpful for you? Do you think that you'll be able to, is helpful for you to be able to achieve your goals next year? How are you currently feeling? Did I answer your questions? For people who joined with questions, did I answer your questions? Did I meet your expectations? Um, let me know in the chat. Amazing, yes. Oh, this is amazing. So I'm seeing I feel refreshed, insightful, it's helpful, practical. I've been able to highlight my errors and know how to do better. Amazing, really insightful, helpful. Oh, this is so good to hear. All right. Okay, so I feel like I have a lot of work to do. Me too. I feel like 2024 is going to be a very interesting year for me. Something that I'm looking to do next year. In the meantime, as I'm sharing this, please be asking questions in the chat, right? If you have questions, please ask in the chat, right? But something that I'm looking to actually do next year is to okay, so something I'm looking to actually do by next year is actually set up like an accountability circle. For I plan to start with people in the community, right? And before like putting it out to any other person that wants to join, depending on the interests that I get. So I mean I want to, as much as possible, work with a lot of people to help them achieve their goals, and not just work with you in terms of being a mentor or a coach. No, not in that regard, but as a partner. So I have my goals. Like it's a close-knitted kind of community. So everybody is like sharing their goals. It's going to be very small. So everybody's sharing their goals. Let's say we have like maximum of 10 people in the community, so everybody shares their goals for the quarter. So this quarter, this is what I'm going to achieve, right? But at the end of the quarter, this is, of course, this is what I want to achieve. So we're all together, working together. How what's the word now? How are we going to go about it? Is anybody feeling everyone's? And then next year, I really, really hope that I'm going to have time to have time. That's my biggest thing. That time. I have time to have like maybe physical meetups with a lot of people in the community, just to hang out and talk about blockers and ways that, as much as possible, things that work for me that can also work for everyone. I feel like 2024 is a year that has potential to be great, to be honest, depending on how you go about it. Okay, so I'll just start answering the questions that I have in the chat, right? Okay, Antonia is saying that, can you talk a bit more about done is perfect? Okay, so what I mean by done is perfect is that sometimes when people set goals, so let me give an example. When people set goals, right? They always, especially perfectionists, they always wait for it to be perfect before they do it. So I just use the same example I've been using, the school, right? So when I was starting the school, when I was starting the school, I had the goal, of course, to April 28th, right? I could have as well set that goal to I could have well set that goal to September, but I didn't want to wait for the perfect period because of the urgency, right? So I knew that I needed to start ASAP. There was urgency for me to start. And even though I didn't have everything that I needed to start with, I started it anyway. So sometimes somebody wants to start a business and the person is saying that, oh, before I can start my business, I need a website. I need a website. But can you start with your Instagram first? And then in the long run, you get a website done. Can you start being the only salesperson, attending to customers, getting the orders, replying the DM, literally like being everything in the business before thinking of getting a salesperson? So sometimes people wait till they get salespeople, or people wait till they actually have a team before they can actually start doing something. But you can start by yourself, and as long as you get it done, done is perfect. That's what I mean. So is perfect means you don't have to wait till you have everything to execute on your goal, right? You don't have to have everything to execute on your goal. Do it when, as of course, if you're a Christian, do it as God leads you. But when you have a timeline, work with your timeline. Start what you want to do with what you have. You don't have to wait till you have everything. Start with what you have and you grow from there. That's what I mean by done is perfect. Does this make sense to you, Antonia? And I know someone else was asking about that. So let me know if it makes sense to you. So Amala asked a question. I'm trying to find your question. Okay, for the accountability on sharing your goals in the public, how would you advise that should be? So it can be as simple as, so for example, for this goal setting planning session, right? It's a goal for me. I need to do it today. So, and I put out a post on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and I think on Twitter already also, and in my newsletter, that today at 7 p.m. I'm going to do this thing. This is how you can join me. So the accountability in that sense is not like the public are going to be reminding you that when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You have already put it out there. So the public already has their mind on this thing is going to come out by this time. Today by 7 p.m., Aramide is going to have a goal setting session and I'm going to be a part of it. And for me, that's enough accountability, because I know that if I don't keep to my word and do what I have to do, I'm sinking my reputation. Literally, I'm sinking my reputation. Except if there are external factors that are beyond me. Except if. But I know that sharing my goals in public work for me a lot. They work for me a lot. Right? So that's what I mean by sharing your goal. It doesn't mean that you have to put out your whole life. Of course, there are some goals that are personal to you. You don't have to share. But if it's a goal that involves public, like launching a free school, you have to share it in the public. If not, the school will not come to you won't come to the limelight. Because you need that accountability. Because you know that people are looking forward to it. And even if nobody's looking forward to it, you already put it out there. So put it out there. Right. So that's what I mean by sharing your goal in public. Does this make sense to you? Um, Let me know if it makes sense to you, Omolola. All right, so in the chat, let's have questions. You can ask questions, and I'll just go ahead to start. Let me stop sharing my screen. And so I'll go ahead to also review some of the questions that were shared, at the registration time. Right. So okay, someone is asking here that how do you balance everything that you do? So I have so much that I have to do at the same time, and I'm wondering how can I balance the different things, the different commitment of my life? How can I balance it? Wow. So something I'll say on balance is I don't really believe in balancing, to be honest. I believe more in what's the word? I believe more in in juggling, basically, right? And I'm saying that I believe more in juggling because I don't feel like balancing things is realistic, because everything will not always be on the same level at the same time, right? Everything will not always be on the same level. And I'm saying this, let me just put it into perspective. So when I was setting up the school, I could not 100% be present at home for some things, to do some things. There were some things that I could not really do at home. So when I was in the school 100% Q1 and also Q2 of 2023, I was at home 80%. And this is where I always say to people that it's always very important to have systems and structures in place, right? Because when you have systems and structures in place, then you are able to, what's the word? When you have systems and structures in place, when you're not able to be somewhere, you can actually be somewhere else without losing one somewhere, right? So what I did was that I'm also very big on outsourcing, delegating, asking for help. Like for me to do this session. Okay, so for me to, my husband traveled yesterday, right? Suddenly, so he just got a call that I had to travel for a program. And so he had to travel yesterday. So the plan is that when I'm doing this session today, this is the original plan since the day I started promising you guys that I'm going to do this session. The plan was that when when I'm doing this session, my husband is going to watch my baby. I can't do this session. My baby is still like a year plus. So she's not like 7 that I can easily say, oh, sit down here. I need this period of time. Engage in this and this and this and this. And I'm going to be done. Like she's a baby. So she will always want to come, interrupt. If I'm having a meeting, my baby always wants to sit down and sometimes even talk while I'm talking to contribute to the conversation. And that's just by the way. So one thing I had to put in place was my nanny doesn't work. She doesn't work on weekends. So what I did was that I had to start asking for help from my siblings and my siblings in-law. Okay, who is available that can help me at this period where I need to get this thing done, but I need someone that can help me watch my baby. And so that's why I said I don't believe in balancing, because as I'm here right now, my baby has gone to bed without my cuddle, right? And so that is like, oh, I'm here. Like, it's like planning session 1, you miss 0, basically, right? That's what I'm doing, right? But, I can't be everywhere at the same time. So to make things work, I need support systems. I have to outsource. I have to delegate. There are times that sometimes there are days that I drive to Otta, but there are days that I know that I have a lot of things to get done. There was a particular time when I didn't have a nanny, but I had to go to Otta. I could not drive. I had to take Uber, because if I'm driving, who's going to watch my baby? Right? So I had to keep booking Uber consistently. And that was the support system that I could afford at the time. Right? So I don't really believe in balancing. Of course, there's the role of time management, focus, everything. Those things are very important. I have a very strong bias for doing what I have to do immediately. But I also really also believe in being kind to myself, not overwhelming myself, right? So sometimes when I'm up here, I'm not down completely there, but I'm not also here. And that's because there's system in place to help me. Support system. My husband, nanny, Uber if I have to, my family and all that. Right. So that's how I'm able to provide that balance. Right. And of course, I have a strong bias for execution. So when I know that this is the phase to get things done, I get it done. And I feel like the reason why a lot of people struggle with a lot of things in one season of their life is because they procrastinated and procrastinated until the season accumulated and got choked up. So let me explain to you. There's no way, and I was telling my husband this thing, that there's no way that I would have actually been able to there's no way I would have actually been able to, what's the word, put together like a, I'm trying to find a way to say this, right? But there's no way that I would have been able to put together, this kind of thing without having these support systems in place, right? And so it's very important that everything you're doing, for everything you're doing, you need to gauge things, right? Oh, if I'm here 100%, how can I do here? How can I do here? So that's how I'm able to actually do it, right? And I have a strong have a strong bias for execution. When my baby is sleeping, I know that that's the time for me to focus on things that I need to do 100%. So I stay there, I drop my phone, off my phone if I have to, and do what I have to do. I don't take calls during that time because I know that once she wakes up, there's I can't come up with this kind of thing when she's awake. And there are some tasks I can actually do when she's awake, and I do it. So I was trying to also explain that there are times that we choke up our seasons, right? So there's no way that when I was starting the school, I could have had like, so my baby is now more active. She's now more everywhere. She wants to be in your face. She wants you to carry her. She's clingy. She wants to join your call. She wants to talk in when you're having conversations like this, right? And so at the time when she was 2 months that I was having those meetings that I had with those school leaders, that was like, I feel like that was like the best time to have it. Because at the time, she was just 2 months. So where you put her is where you find her. And she was not clingy and stuff. So there are also things that I've been able to achieve in the past seasons of my life. Starting my organization, I didn't start as a school. I didn't start with a team of 13 people. I started with just myself running around. And I told my husband that there's no way, I don't know how I would have done it with my child, running around with my child. I don't know how I would have done it. I don't know how I would have done a master's with a child because doing a master's is very hectic. So you can imagine doing it with a child. Like me, that I'm not doing a master's. I can imagine raising a child is daunting. But imagine doing a master's and raising a child. It's very hectic. But if you're single and if you're not married, if you don't have children, you have that season and you can maximize it. So sometimes a lot of people wait and then they end up choking. They end up choking themselves. When at the season where you're maybe single, you can actually do what you have to do. You can actually do. I always tell people that if you can, I know sometimes there might be different limitations, but if you can, just do your masters before you have a child. Just do it. If you can, just do it because it's more hectic. You get busier, like you get busier by the day because you're growing, you're evolving, you're getting married, you're having a child, you're evolving, especially if you're a woman. It gets busier every single time. But the kind of things that I was able to achieve when I was single, alone, I didn't have any family responsibility, are things that I'm very glad that I was able to do at that season. So sometimes probably the reason why your season is currently choked is because all the things you could have done at the previous season is now accumulated right now. And of course, you trash it up, but it helps for further planning too. So I think I've talked a bit more on building consistency, right? And let me know in the chat if they still need to talk more about that. But on building consistency, I've mentioned strong accountability. Accountability is the solution to consistency. Sometimes you will not feel up to it, but when you're accountable to someone that you respect, you actually do what you have to do. How do I get clarity in goal setting? That's practically what we talked about today, right? Balancing again. Someone is asking here that do you think it's possible to marry early and prosper in all your vision? Yes, you can. You can. If God has blessed you with marriage and a good spouse and kids, right? It did not bless you to limit you. That's it. It didn't bless you to limit you, right? There are many times in my work that I don't know how far I would have, not even many times, like every single time, I don't know how far I would have come without my husband. I don't know how far. I really don't know, to be honest. Like there are times I'm thinking small about something and it's like, oh, why not just do it this way? Like, see how I wanted to just give up on this thing. And he's like, oh, no, now you can do it. Like, just get it done. So I don't think marrying early, and I have an entire thread. I did a newsletter on this, I think in September or June or sometime this year, right? So if you're the one asking that question right here, just go through the newsletter, past newsletters, and you actually find a post that I did on marrying early and my thoughts about that. How do you stay accountable on your goals? I've shared about that. You can share it with your friends, share with people, that can keep you grounded. Um, okay, so someone asking that, how do you help someone who sets out to start something, but you deviate? So this is consistency. Accountability is the answer that you need. Find somebody that you respect and be accountable to that person. If you are saying that you want to pray every day, right? Find someone that you respect and tell the person, every day from this time to this time, I'm going to pray. Every day from this period to this period, I'm going to do this thing. And when you actually pray, maybe you set it at 12 p.m. When you actually pray every day from 12, so I'm going to pray from 12 to 12:05, for example, every day at 12:05. Excuse me. So every day at 12:05, you have to set an alarm that reminds you to pray, and not just reminding you to pray, but also like sending a message to that person to say that, oh, I have prayed or I've done this thing, right? So if you're having a lot of issues with consistency, to be honest, the only advice I have for you is get a strong accountability partner, preferably someone that you actually respect. How do I do away with distractions? And how do I deal with fear of missing out? To be honest, fear of missing out, there's no way to deal with it though. Just face your business. To be honest, just mind your business. Mind your business. You don't have to be everything or know everything. Or I'm not everywhere. I'm not. I'm not everywhere. Sometimes somebody will ask me that, did you see this post? Did you see this person did? I said, I don't know. I didn't see it though. And I'm just being, it's not like I'm a soul worker, but how do they call that? Lone ranger. Yeah, lone ranger. But I've learned how to mind my business and drink water. It's a very great security tip. It's a great security tip. It's a great tip for having peace. I always like to mind my business. Wherever I put me is where you find me. So this fear of missing out thing that a lot of people struggle with, just mind your business. Must you know everything? You don't have to. I mean, please let me know in the chat if I'm the one that I don't understand the question, or I don't understand how the feeling is. But basically, I just feel like, what are you afraid of missing out in somebody's life? Is your destiny connected to their destiny? Excuse me. Face your front. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of missing out. Yes, mind your business. Thank you. Mind your business. Right? So if you want to do away with distractions and fear of missing out, mind your business. If possible, leave social media for a while. Right? You shouldn't be afraid of missing out of someone else's life. It's not your business. So, have you ever felt unfulfilled? I have an idea of what I'm sent to do, but I don't know the next step to take. How can I put an end to the stuck feeling that I have? So, two things. When you have an idea, you don't know what to do. As a believer, you feel like it's what you're led to do. Number one, pray about it so that God can give you clarity. When you pray, you have the opportunity for the answers in your spirit to come up, and you're able to make sense of it in your mind. That's one. Number two, sometimes even when you have an idea and you just don't know what to do, it's because you actually don't know what to do and you've not spoken to anybody who has done what you're trying to do. So I said it at the beginning, the boy should not go to the forest without the help of the hunter, right? So if you have an idea, is there someone that is doing it currently? So one thing I did when I knew that we're going to start a school was that in my conversation with school leaders, the first question I asked was, when you knew you were going to start a school, what was the first step you took? What were the top 3 things that you did? Right? So knowing, even though I didn't know exactly what I needed to do per se at that point, having these conversations with them and learning from their journey helped me to see the things that I can actually get started with. So 2 things to move from lack of clarity. Number 1, pray more and let God spend more time in prayer, right? Let the God who gave you the idea, let him show you what to do. But number 2, another way you can go about it is speaking to people who have actually done it, of course, as God led you, because from what this person is saying, it's like this person is also a believer. He said have an idea of this is what I'm led to do. So if that's the case for you, as God leads you, find people who have already done it and then reach out to them for help. How was I able to maintain focus all through the year? So I mentioned this clearly here, right? That I broke my goals down and I was able to focus on it per quarter. And because I had a focus per quarter and I had a timeline per quarter, I was able to face my front and maintain focus. So even on the days that I didn't feel even on the days I didn't feel like motivated, I knew that I had a strong timeline. And so I had to choose my commitment over my feelings. Right. Okay. So I feel like most of the questions are almost the same, right? Someone is asking that how do you deal with burnout, especially as someone who juggles a lot of things and still attain success as smashing your set goals for the year. You can't pursue so many fishes at the same time and catch all of them. You may not even catch any one of them. So break your goals down, right? So you need to find out what is making you burn out. Maybe it's probably overwhelmed, right? Because you're trying to juggle a lot of things. Then something else you can do is to pace yourself. Like that's why your goals should actually be realistic and achievable. So it's very important that you actually pace yourself. That okay, this is what I can do. I'm juggling. Like you can't, if you're a mom, you can't be comparing yourself to a single lady that or a single guy that doesn't have any other commitment, right? Or any other thing. If you're a business, if you work in a company and you're building a business, you can't be comparing yourself to someone who only works in a company and that's all the person does, right? So it's very important that's why I said productivity is what is bespoke, is what works for me, right? So you need to find what works for you in the setting of your goal so that you don't burn out. You set what is realistic for you in terms of timeline and then you work with that, right? um okay, how do you not get scared of your goals? My goals used to scare me. Oh. I don't think you guys escape it though. I don't think you guys escape it. Right. And if there's anybody that's escaped it, please share it in the chats. But I don't really think you guys escape that thing. If your goal is big, and Michael Hart's a very respected person that I know. He said that if you're a believer and your goal does not scare you, then you didn't hear God well or something. You didn't hear God well or something, right? So I don't think there's any way to actually escape it. Like, and that's because when you set a goal, you're taking a bet on yourself, right? You're taking a bet on yourself. Like you've never been there, you've never done it before. You're taking a bet that you can do it. You're giving yourself a chance to do big things, right? You're giving a chance yourself to do big things or something that's bigger than you. You're leaving your comfort zone. You'll be afraid. I'm telling you, you'll be afraid. You will be afraid. You'll be afraid. So it's just about it's courage. What you need is courage. Just do what you have to do and move on. And at the end, if it works out well, you know that you're going, you're setting your goal. You're literally planning out your life to move forward. So that's why if you don't achieve your goal, you're just putting a cap on your life. You're just limiting yourself. You're just staying in the same place. Right. So you always get scared, but courage, just do what you have to do. Right. What do I have for a 25 advice do I have for a 25-year-old young person that's growing a career? I'm a young person. No, I don't know if I have advice for a 25-year-old. Right. But one thing I'll say is that if you're going your career as a 25-year-old, pay a lot of attention to learning a lot as much as you can. And that's because I'm being faithful where you are. And that's because your life opens up to the degree of how faithful you are and how excellent you are in the work that you do. So how did I get to this point? I started doing a fellowship program. In my fellowship program, when I started that fellowship program, I had to take a pay cut, right? A huge pay cut. And my parents were not happy about it, to be honest, right? And so another thing is that aside taking that pay cut within the organization as well, aside taking that pay cut, I was even more committed than some of the other people that were there. So even when they were not paying me what they were paying them, I was even more committed. I basically took ownership of it because I know that I'm dedicating my life to this thing. So I'm just going to give my best. Like I cannot just do mediocre work. It's my name that is on it. So I'm going to give my best to this thing, whether they pay me what I'm worth or not. I'm going to do what I have to do. And I was very faithful to I did my best, to be honest. And I always tell someone, and I say it with every sense of humility and gratefulness, like to God for everything. That there's no how, like during that fellowship, if they are calling looking for like alum to maybe share their story or something, I'm always on the list. At least let's say 90% of the time. I'm always on their radar. Right. And it's not because I'm special or anything. Like I'm not like a big deal, basically, but I just knew that at that point in my life, I was still very young. So what do I know that I want to be dragging you for to pay me this, or I want to be dragging money with someone who I need to learn from, basically. So I always advise young people that when you're working somewhere, and I'm not saying that you should not go for the money, but value learning, right? Value learning, learn as much, choose career paths that you can actually learn from, because you still have your life ahead of you. And if you don't have the skills that you learn from working somewhere can actually pave way for you somewhere else. How did I know how to manage a school, like to an extent? I worked in a public school and I gave my all to it. So I know the challenges that the children that we work with, right? I know the challenges that they face. I know the challenges that teachers face. So there are some challenges that my own teachers cannot complain about, because I know that these are challenges that teachers will normally face. And from the beginning, I've already created solutions for it. Right. And many times, because of all these things I put in place, they help the organization to run very well. So it's very important that if you're a young person growing your career, learn a lot as much as you can. Like, don't just restrict yourself to, oh, I'm just 9 to 5. Once it's 5, I'm just going to. And I'm not saying that you should not have work-life balance, but I'm just saying that take ownership of it. Like, take ownership of your work, whether you're interested in it. And I always say that purpose will always open out from that. Like, when you say that, when someone's asking me that, how do I find my purpose? I'm like, you're already working in purpose. Like, just do what you're doing and do it very well. And that's how your life will just open up. At least for me, that was how my own life opened up, and for some other people in my circle. So I would say that you're going your career, put all your best into it, especially if you're still finding yourself. There's a lot, it will be very more rewarding than maybe what they're paying you and stuff. Right. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up by 9:30, right? So I'm just going to answer a few more questions. What keeps me going when there's no motivation? Accountability. Accountability. How do I undo waiting periods when I apply for opportunities? I just leave. My life is not dependent on opportunities. Oh. I'm not, although I'm like, oh, I want to get in and stuff, but I don't hold myself back. Like, I don't put myself under any pressure to get into any opportunity, to be honest. I just apply. And many times, maybe, I don't know if it's on seriousness or something, I don't know. But whenever I apply for opportunity, I'm just applying it. Okay, I might get in, I might not get in. Fine. And most of the time, I actually don't believe I will get in. So when I get in, I'm like, oh my God, I actually got in. Right. So I applied for One Young God in 2021. I was pregnant. So I didn't think I was going to get in. Like, I didn't think I was going to get in. I just applied, like, okay, let me just do it. Let me just apply. There's no shame, or there's no, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. So let me just apply. Let me just do it, right? Nothing will go wrong if I don't apply. And if I don't get in, fine. My life it continues, right? So nothing spoiled, right? So I just applied, and one day I just got an email, like, I think I'd even forgotten. I've forgotten I even applied though. I just got an email one day, and that day was a very sad day. Like, it was a day that I didn't like that day, basically. But the news just came in suddenly that, hey, congratulations, blah blah blah. And I'm like, wow, thank God, amazing. Right. So if opportunities come, Hallelujah, praise God. But if they don't come, I don't allow getting of opportunities or not getting opportunities to actually define how I see myself. It doesn't change how hardworking I am, or it doesn't change how much I'm doing so well, right? It doesn't change anything about me. They don't validate me. Of course, when they come, it's like, oh my people, someone sees my work and person believes that my work has, because you get into the opportunities when they see that you're doing great work and your work probably has a chance of succeeding, right? So I'm like, oh wow, someone believes in me, nice, right? But at the end, they don't actually determine how I see myself, or validate if I'm doing the right thing or anything. To be honest, they don't. So waiting periods, I just rest. I just rest. I just trust God and I have peace of mind. Okay. Um procrastination. How do you do procrastination while also trying to give your best in your responsibilities? So the thing about procrastination is that there will always be some things you can procrastinate, but the whole idea of avoiding procrastination is don't procrastinate more than, to be honest, try to keep it low as 10%. Try to keep your procrastination as low as 10%. Sometimes you might not be able to completely eradicate it because there are activities that have like external factors that rely on it. Sometimes you're like, oh, let's just do this thing, like let's just go all out and get this thing done. But there are times that you know that at that point you can't do it, right? So with dealing with procrastination, I have a mindset of just doing what I have to do. And accountability helps with a lot, though. Accountability helps with a lot. Because when I tell you that I'm going to do this thing and I respect you a lot, and I know that you respect me, and I don't want you to see me as someone that is not serious, I will do what I have to do, whether I feel like it or not. And that's where procrastination comes in, because you rely so much on your feelings to tell you what to do, when you should do something, when you should live your life, when you should do what you have to do, rather than your commitment. And you forget that your feeling is fickle. Like you feel this way now, next time it's gone. By the end, you see that will not end up beating yourself up for not doing it. So I always put myself under strong accountability structures so that I'm able to choose my commitment over how I feel. Right. Um, how do you go about many things that you have to do without being exhausted and overwhelmed? To be honest, I pace myself. I'm very kind to myself. Oh. See, as much as I'm very strong on execution and getting things done, I'm also very strong on taking care of myself. Like when I know that I can't do this thing, like I won't kill myself to achieve a goal. And that's one thing. I learned it the hard way, but I've learned how to, and something God taught me when I was pregnant, like this performance-based trap that you put yourself in, where if you're not achieving your goals, you're not a you're not doing well. You're not doing well. But at the end, it's like we need to focus more on being over doing. Like we're always doing that. We've allowed doing to now define us. So that when you're not doing, like when God is actually saying, this is your season of rest, or this is your season of preparation, this is a time to learn, this is not the time to do. You feel like something has been taken away from you, literally, because you're not doing. And your life will not always be about doing. There'll be seasons of rest, there'll be seasons of preparation, and you need to be okay with it. So I understand my seasons part time, right? And I hate overwhelm and exhaustion. So I pace myself. When I know I can't do something, I won't. I won't. And of course, there's balance to saying I won't. Like there's a strong balance to it. But to be honest, I don't kill myself to achieve my goals. I strive hard, I work hard. My execution is great, but I don't become a slave of my goals. I don't. I don't. Because someone that is alive that will achieve goal. It's someone that is sane that will achieve goal. It's someone that is strong and not sick that will achieve goal. So I hardly get to the point of burnout, to be honest. I give myself sense. Right. And that's because my self-identity is not tied to my performance. I know who I am, whether I have this accomplishment or not, with or without my accomplishment. I know who I am, and that's enough for me, right? So I'll be wrapping up now. Let me just see if there are goals that are unique. There are topics, questions that are unique. Okay. How do you take bold steps to do what you have to do without fear of the unknown? I just do it. I don't used to think twice. So, and maybe the reason why sometimes people stall on their goals a lot or stall on doing what they have to do is because they think too much about it. I don't think a lot though. As everybody's still thinking, doing everything. Me, I've moved. I've moved. So I just do what I have to do. I don't allow fear to settle in. I don't. I don't. I don't analyze. I don't analyze. I don't wait for anything. I just do what I have to do. I just move. By the time you are still planning, taking permission, doing everything, designing business plan, designing this, waiting for this person, waiting for I mean I've already gone. So I don't even allow the fear to come in. When it comes, of course, I have support systems that I can call, oh, this I'm feeling, and they encourage me. Right. So I also have that in place. Very great support system, my friends, my family, right? My husband especially, they encourage me when I'm feeling afraid. Like when we wanted to do our fundraiser for Talent Mind, I was scared, literally scared. I'd run a fundraiser before, but this time around I was really scared. And I called my friend, I was just crying. And she was like, you can do this thing now. I it's God that's led you to do it. Just do it. And I did it. Right. So I don't really allow it settling. But if it comes, I rely on my support systems a lot. Um, okay. Um, hmm, okay, I think I've answered most of the questions here. Procrastination, overwhelming, balance, purpose, consistency. I've answered that. Hmm. So, okay. I'm just looking to see if there's any unique question here that I can answer. But in the meantime, how, let me know one thing that you're taking out of today's session. One thing in the chat. Let me know. I want to be sure that this this is very helpful for you. I want to be sure that like I did not I this is well like I did not just come here and talk basically. I want to be sure that this is very helpful. So let me know what's one thing that you're taking from today's session. Okay, I have questions in the chat. From Faith. Faith is saying that what resources can I recommend for someone who has been trying to get global opportunities but been rejected over and over again? I think it's because of my writing skills. What resources can I leverage on? Read. You write better when you read, and you write better when you write. So you keep writing. Something else that you can do is you can Google like applications for this, sample applications. You can read just to see how they tell their stories and stuff like that. And there are people who actually do like application sessions or release books on how to write great applications. You can take advantage of that. So I don't have any particular resources to be honest, but if you want to write better, you need to read more sample applications, read more about the issue that you're trying to solve, then write more. The more you write, the more even what you're trying to do gets better. Then something else you can do is also give your application to someone that can help you to review it. Maybe that person can show you why. Because I feel like from what you can see here, you say I've been rejected over and over again. You think it's because of your writing skills, but maybe it's not because of your writing skills. Maybe it's because you don't understand completely what you're trying to do, or maybe because the people who are choosing people for the opportunity do not just fancy the particular thing that you're doing. Maybe they have other focus, right? Maybe there's a disconnect on that. So it can be anything. So something you can do is pass your writing to someone that can help review and give you good feedback on that. Then if the issue is writing, read more, write more, then read further applications. That's what I would advise. I have never paid someone to teach me how to apply for opportunities. I've never attended any session on getting global opportunities. I've never done that. I read a lot, right? I read a lot on I'm the issue I'm solving. I read a lot of past applications, sample applications, and I write a lot. Whether I think I'll get it or not, I just write. What? Okay, okay. So I think I've been able to answer your question. Oh, yeah, people's takeaway done is perfect. 12-week year, mind my business, show consistency. Goal setting is great, but setting system is better. Is setting system in place is key. You don't mean just one out of the audience. Done is perfect. And the perfection is hearing this is liberating. Yeah, just do what you have to do. Go and really go. Just move, don't analyze. For me, breaking down my goals into quarter, I will set realistic goals and not beat myself up when things get really overwhelming. Amazing. Just do it anyway. Productivity is bespoke. Do what you have to do. Set systems around your goal. Accountability is good, is key. Being overdoing, mind your business, learn a lot and be faithful where you are. Don't allow fear, don't overthink it, just move. Vision board is victory board is always as important as vision board. Well, I finally got to fully understand the power importance of building a system versus focusing on goal. Thank you. What is the 12-week year? Oh, I shared the 12-week year. Unfortunately, I cannot start sharing it again, right? But I'm still thinking about how, if I'm going to make the recording available. So if it's going to be available, I would get in touch with everyone who registered. Thank you very much, Ma. This is very helpful. I'm very glad it's helpful. Don't break the promises that you make with yourself. So something I would do is that I'm going to prepare a worksheet that can help you plan your 2024 goals. I will share that with you next week, right? So before the end of next week, you actually hear from me. Then I'll also share a like a form, right? Where if you are interested in the accountability group, I intend to start in January. You can reach out and sign up for it, right? Then for the 12-week year, I will also share with you the book, the 12-week year book, like the name of the book, so that you can find it and get it. I think you can get it on Amazon, right? I don't know if it's available in Nigeria, right? But you can get it on Amazon. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. I'm very glad I did this. I'm very proud of myself. But most importantly, I'm very, very, very proud of you because you waited. Wow. I talk a lot, but you waited. You waited. I talk a lot. Thank you for waiting. I'm happy that this was very helpful for everyone. I'm glad you joined. And please, I beg in the name of God, I left my family to be here. I left my baby to be here, right? The best thing you can do for me is to take action on everything you've learned. So you see all these gems in the chat. Please take action. And something I will really be happy to see is when 2024 comes, like people sending me emails to say, hey, I did this and did this, and right now I'm on my way to achieving this goal. Like that kind of thing will actually make me so happy. So please, I beg you in the name of God, let this session be worth it for you. Like, let it not just give you ginger and stuff. Those things are good, but taking action is the best. So please, I beg you, please take action on everything you've learned, right? I'll share the resources with you by next week, right? And so as much as possible, start right now planning for 2024. There's actually a planner I got that can help. And this is free publicity. Right. I'm not paid to do this. Right. So it's called the Build Planner. Let me see. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Right, but it's kind of blurry. It's called the Build Planner, right? And the name of the Instagram page is loveaba.co or so. I can't remember. But I'll find it. Okay. I think it's Love About Something Co on Instagram, right? So they have this build planner. And I've actually been looking for a planner like this since 20 since 2 years ago. And that's because in the US there's actually a planner called the Full Focus Planner. But the Full Focus Planner is quite pricey. It's like $53. Yeah, like 50K. It's like $53. So I know that at that I mean of course I'll get to a point where I can buy a 50K planner, right? But I know that right now I can't afford that. So but this one is way cheaper. It's very affordable. Yeah, thank you so much, Honor, for sharing. So with Love Abba, cool. So they have this planner and it's exactly like, yeah, exactly breaks down the goal Like it's broken down into quarter. Like, so this one now, this planner is for 1 quarter. So every day of the quarter, I have like, it has broken it down for, that's broken it down. So you might not actually end up needing my worksheet with this, because it gives you like time to share on the quarter. What's your goal for the quarter? What are the projects that you have to do this quarter? Then the breaking down of each project. Why do I want to achieve the goal? How do I go about it? What will success look like for you? So you have different projects. So especially for someone who is a career person, you're a family person, like you want to achieve different goals across different aspects of your life. I think that this is a very great planner. I haven't used it at all, right? But from what I can see, I know that it will be very helpful for people who actually want to run with the 12-week year plan. So you know that this resource is going to be helpful for you, like your best friend, over a 3 month period. And even after breaking it down to quarter, right? You have the month, so you have the plan, a place where you can write your plans for the month, right? What are your priorities for that month? Then you have weekly goals. What are the weekly goals that you want to achieve? Then from weekly goals, that's actually broken it down to daily goals. And so I talked about systems. So you have systems here, right? So with these systems, you'll be able to you're able to basically like say, okay, what are the things I want to do? So in my morning routine, what do I want to do? In my afternoon routine, what do I want to do? In my evening routine, what do I want to do? And it has trackers, right? So you can basically like track, like check that, oh, I've done this today, I've done this today. So it's like your best friend. And then you have weekly reminders. And then from after weekly breakdown, you now have a scheduled daily planner. So on that daily planner, like I said, the priority three, right? So there's space for you to write your priority for the day, 3 days priority. Then something cute that I like here is that, how am I caring for myself for today? So if you're someone who can sometimes be hard on yourself, this can be very helpful for you. Then what are the deadlines? What are some things I should remember? What are some things I should dedicate today? Then at the end of the day, there's a reflection. What worked today? What didn't work? How can I make tomorrow work better? What am I grateful for? So I feel like even if I end up starting an accountability community, this is like a resource that I'm actually going to recommend to everybody who joins the accountability circle, because it will help you with reflection. Like, no day literally just goes by without you, with you just being useless. Basically, every day is a day to grow and achieve a goal that matter to you. And I really, really recommend this planner. I'll actively start using it in, I mean, I bought it because I know it's already a system that works for me. And so this is just a planner that can help me. This year I had to rely on just a to-do list. So the detailing of my goal was not as good as this, right? Because it was just to-do list, right? But this one is very detailed, and I advise you to get it. I think their sale has ended. They ran a sale this December. But I think it sells for like 12K. I would say it's actually worth it, because it's for a 3 month period and it's an investment. So just as you buy a course or something, this is actually an investment for you to achieve your goals across different areas. And like I said before, this is not like, I don't earn any money from doing this. I'm just sharing it because I know that it will be a resource that is helpful for everyone. So right now I'm going to wrap up. I'm very happy that we're able to do this. Thank you very much once again, everyone, for joining. I have to go now and take care of myself, and just rest for the day. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope that we'll be able to do this again and more of things like this next year, just to make sure that everyone is making progress. But I'll keep in touch by next week. Thank you very much, and have a great night, everyone. Bye.